Anxiety is a silent war inside the human mind, a constant storm of what ifs and what could go wrong. It keeps you trapped between the past you can't change and the future you can't control. The Stoics, however, had a way of cutting through this noise with brutal simplicity. They didn't sugarcoat life. They didn't preach comfort. They believed in facing fear, pain, and uncertainty with reason, not emotion. If you're ready to stop anxiety from ruling your life, you must start by understanding this. Anxiety thrives where your control ends. The moment you learn to separate what's within your control from what's not, you begin to take your power back. The first brutal Stoic truth is that you're not owed a calm life. Marcus Aurelius faced war, death, and betrayal, yet he reminded himself daily that life was never meant to be easy or predictable. Most anxiety comes from expecting life to be fair, expecting everyone to treat you kindly, every plan to work perfectly, and every moment to feel safe. But life isn't built to please you. It's built to test you. Once you stop expecting smoothness, the bumps don't shake you anymore. When you accept chaos as natural, peace becomes a choice. You stop asking why me and start saying, try me. That small shift kills the victim mentality, and the victim mentality is anxiety's favorite food. The second Stoic rule is you suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca said this 2,000 years ago, yet it perfectly describes modern anxiety. Most of what you fear never actually happens. Your brain creates entire movies of disaster that play on repeat, even though the events never arrive. The Stoics saw this clearly. Fear lives in thought, not fact. The way out isn't to suppress your imagination, but to challenge it. The next time you start worrying about something that hasn't happened, stop and ask yourself, is this a fact or just a story? Most of the time you'll realize it's only a story. You've built a prison from your own ideas, and you hold the key. The third rule is you control your response, not the world. Epictetus taught that external things, people, events, outcomes, that don't disturb us. It's our judgment of them that does. When someone insults you, it's not their words that hurt. It's your interpretation of those words. When a plan fails, it's not the failure itself that destroys you. It's your attachment to how things should have been. Once you learn this, the world loses its grip on your emotions. You start realizing that no event can truly break you unless you give it permission to. That's real freedom. The Stoic doesn't avoid difficulty. He masters his reaction to it. The fourth brutal truth is that emotions are not orders. You can feel fear without obeying it. You can feel anxiety without surrendering to it. Stoicism doesn't tell you to be emotionless. It teaches you to be emotionally disciplined. Emotions are signals, not chains. When fear rises, observe it. Don't fight it, don't feed it, just watch it pass. The Stoics believed that self-control is the highest form of strength. Every time you resist the impulse to react, you gain power. The goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal is to stop being ruled by what you feel. Fifth, remember that time will take everything from you, and that's liberating. Death was not a taboo for the Stoics. It was their reminder to live. When you remember that your days are numbered, the small anxieties lose their weight. Why waste a day worrying about tomorrow when you might not even get tomorrow? Memento mori. Remember you must die isn't dark. It's grounding. It puts your fears in perspective. The argument, the missed opportunity, the embarrassment, none of it matters when seen against eternity. Death reminds you to focus only on what truly counts. Sixth, pain is not punishment. Anxiety grows when you label discomfort as something bad or unfair. The Stoics believe that pain is information, a teacher. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way." When something hurts, it's showing you where you're still fragile, where you still depend too much on control or approval. Instead of running from pain, face it. Let it refine you. Every hardship contains the seed of strength, if you choose to learn instead of complain. This is the essence of Stoic courage, transforming suffering into growth. Finally, you become what you repeatedly think about. The mind is like clay. Whatever you press into it daily, it becomes. If you feed it constant worry, you'll live in fear. But if you feed it reason, perspective, and gratitude, you'll create calm. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you want to end anxiety, begin by choosing better thoughts. Not easy ones, but true ones. Remind yourself each morning that everything that happens is an opportunity to practice virtue. Every problem is training for your spirit. The Stoics didn't promise a painless life. They promised an unshakable one. Their rules are brutal because they demand ownership. They strip away excuses and leave you face to face with your own choices. But once you live by them, anxiety loses its claws. You stop being a victim of your thoughts and become their master. The storms outside no longer matter when you've built calm within. Because the Stoic doesn't wait for peace, he creates it. The moment you decide to face anxiety like a Stoic, everything about how you live begins to change. You stop chasing comfort and you start chasing clarity. You stop asking, when will I stop feeling anxious? And start asking, what lesson is this anxiety trying to teach me? Stoicism doesn't make life easier. It makes you tougher than life. In this section, we go deeper into the Stoic mindset that burns away anxiety at its roots. Because the truth is, peace is not found by running away from your fears. It's built by walking straight through them. The first lesson the Stoics would remind you of is that life owes you nothing, yet gives you everything you need to grow. Anxiety often comes from resistance, resisting pain, uncertainty, loss, or change. But resistance only multiplies suffering. The Stoics understood this long before psychology ever put it into words. Acceptance is not weakness, it's wisdom. When you stop wishing for the world to bend to your will, you start seeing how to move within it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." He didn't say that with despair, but with peace. Everything changes. People leave, plans fail, seasons shift. But if you flow with it, not against it, anxiety loses its power. The second Stoic rule for a calm mind is don't seek control, seek command. You can't control what happens, but you can command how you respond. That's the Stoic's battlefield. When you command your reaction, you command your fate. Imagine your mind as a fortress. The storms outside, opinions, failures, chaos can't break you unless you open the gate. Most people let every thought, every fear, and every insult walk right in. The Stoic doesn't. He guards his inner peace like a king guards his throne. Control your tongue. Control your breath. Control your focus. That's not repression, it's mastery. The third principle, detach from outcomes. Almost all anxiety is future-based. You worry about what might happen, or whether you'll succeed, or what people will think. The Stoics practice something called amor fati, love of fate. It means whatever happens, you embrace it fully as if you chose it yourself. When you love your fate, anxiety cannot survive. You stop fearing failure because you understand that even failure trains you. You stop fearing rejection because it only reveals what's not meant for you. Every outcome becomes fuel. Amor fati turns every twist of life into a lesson in strength. Next comes a brutal but freeing truth. No one is coming to save you. The Stoics believed in radical self-responsibility. You can't depend on the world to comfort you, or on others to calm your mind. You are responsible for your own inner stability. Epictetus was born a slave, yet he said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Anxiety feeds on helplessness. It dies in the presence of self-reliance. The moment you stop expecting someone else to fix your mood, or the world to treat you gently, you begin to reclaim your peace. Freedom begins when you stop waiting for rescue. The fifth Stoic rule is practice voluntary discomfort. Most anxiety today comes from living too softly, avoiding every small pain, escaping every hard truth, and seeking constant stimulation. The Stoics trained the opposite way. They practiced being uncomfortable on purpose to grow mentally unbreakable. They slept on hard beds, ate simple food, and exposed themselves to cold, silence, and solitude. Why? Because if you can endure the small hardships you choose, you'll handle the big ones you don't choose with calm. Modern anxiety often comes from fragility. The Stoic builds resilience. You train the mind by denying it constant pleasure. The sixth rule is focus only on the present moment. Anxiety lives in time, it feeds on the future and haunts you with the past. But the present moment is where your power exists. Marcus Aurelius said, "Confine yourself to the present." Every time you bring your attention back to what's in front of you, your breath, your task, your surroundings, you rob anxiety of its fuel. The Stoic doesn't get lost in endless what-ifs. He deals with what is. The future will unfold no matter how much you worry about it. But this moment is yours to shape. Presence isn't just mindfulness, it's defiance. Finally, remember that your thoughts are not you. This might be the most powerful Stoic realization of all. The anxious mind creates 1,000 stories, But the Stoic learns to step back and watch them instead of becoming them. When you say, I am anxious, you merge your identity with your emotion. But when you say, I'm noticing anxiety, you create distance. That distance is power. You realize that your thoughts are like clouds, they pass and you remain. The Stoic mind is like the sky, unaffected by whatever storm passes through it. Stoicism is not just philosophy. It's mental warfare. It teaches you to silence the noise, strip away illusions, and face life raw. When you apply these rules, anxiety loses its foundation. Because anxiety needs your belief, it needs you to think every fear is truth, every discomfort is danger, and every uncertainty is doom. Stoicism takes that belief and replaces it with clarity. The clarity that you can endure, that you can choose peace, that your worth isn't tied to outcomes, and that your power lies in your response. The Stoic way is not about pretending you don't feel anxious. It's about looking anxiety in the eye and saying, you may visit, but you don't stay. You act with courage despite the trembling. You choose calm over chaos, reason over reaction, strength over self-pity. The Stoic does not escape life, he embraces it entirely, even its storms, because he knows that every storm, no matter how fierce, eventually runs out of rain. Now that you understand the Stoic truths behind anxiety, it's time to live them. Philosophy is useless unless it's practiced daily, and that's exactly what made the Stoics powerful. They didn't just read about calm, they built it moment by moment through discipline. The modern world tells you to escape, to numb your anxiety with distractions, entertainment, or temporary comfort. The Stoic does the opposite. He confronts anxiety head-on until it bows to his control. This section is about application, how to live these 7 brutal, Stoic rules until peace becomes your natural state. The first thing you must do every morning is arm your mind before the day begins. Marcus Aurelius started his mornings by reminding himself that he would meet the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful. Why? Because he understood that expectation shapes emotion. If you expect people and situations to be perfect, you'll always be disappointed. But if you expect chaos and decide to remain calm anyway, you win before the day starts. The Stoic morning is not about chasing happiness. It's about preparing for reality. You rise, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, nothing that happens today can touch my peace unless I let it. That single thought can disarm half your anxiety. The second practice is journaling in the Stoic way. Seneca and Epictetus both wrote daily to discipline their thoughts. Their journals weren't emotional rants. They were mental training grounds. Every night they reviewed the day with brutal honesty. What did I do well?
What did I do poorly?
What will I improve tomorrow? This reflection keeps your mind sharp and grounded. Anxiety thrives in confusion when your thoughts are tangled. But journaling turns those tangled thoughts into ordered insight. When you see your fears on paper, they lose their power. The Stoic writes not to vent, but to gain command. Next, practice the view from above. This ancient Stoic exercise shrinks your problems to their true size. Imagine rising above the earth, higher and higher, until you see your city, your country, the planet itself. From that vast height, how big does your current worry look? The argument, the bill, the embarrassment, it's nothing. It's a dot on a dot in a sea of stars. Marcus Aurelius did this often to remind himself how small human concerns really are. When you zoom out, anxiety collapses. You realize how short life is, how meaningless most stress is, and how beautiful it is just to exist at all. The fourth application is voluntary silence. The Stoics valued quiet because the mind cannot be calm when it's overstimulated. Most people today live in mental chaos and constant scrolling, noise, and chatter. You cannot kill anxiety while feeding it distraction. Each day, carve out moments of total silence. No phone, no noise, no input. Just you, your breath, and your thoughts. In that stillness, you'll begin to notice how anxious thoughts arise, and how quickly they pass if you don't feed them. Silence is a mirror. It shows you what truly controls you. The Stoic uses that mirror to strengthen discipline. Fifth, use discomfort as daily training. Take cold showers. Walk in the rain. Delay your comfort, not to punish yourself, but to teach your mind that you can endure more than it believes. Anxiety whispers, you can't handle this. Stoicism answers, watch me. The more you expose yourself to mild, controlled discomfort, the less reactive your mind becomes. When life throws something harder at you, loss, rejection, failure, you won't crumble. You've already practiced resilience in small ways. The Stoic doesn't seek suffering, but he doesn't run from it either. He welcomes it as sharpening steel. The sixth daily, Stoic habit is to question every anxious thought before believing it. Anxiety often feels like truth, but it's usually imagination. The Stoic uses reason like a sword to cut through falsehood. When a fear appears, ask, is this a fact or just a projection? Can I control this? What's the worst that could happen? And could I endure it? 90% of your fears dissolve under this kind of questioning. Marcus Aurelius called it reasoned choice, the power to challenge emotion with logic. When you stop automatically believing every thought, you begin to reclaim your peace. Finally, end each day with gratitude and acceptance. The Stoic doesn't go to bed thinking about what went wrong. He reflects on what he learned. Every failure, every stress, every anxious moment, all of it is material for growth. Epictetus said, "Don't seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them as they happen." That is the secret of the calm mind. The Stoic accepts everything, not with resignation, but with understanding. Gratitude is not a soft emotion. It's a form of strength. It tells the world, you can't break me. I still choose to see the good. When you live this way, something remarkable happens. Anxiety no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes a signal, a teacher that shows you where you still lack trust, where you still cling too tightly. You begin to see that peace isn't something you find out, it's something you build. Through daily discipline, the Stoic doesn't chase calm. He creates it by mastering himself. In the end, these 7 Stoic rules are not just ideas, they're weapons. Each time you practice them, you're sharpening the blade of your mind. You stop living as a victim of emotion and start living as a commander of your thoughts. Anxiety may knock, but it no longer gets to move in. Because you've built a fortress, and not of walls, but of wisdom. The world will never stop being uncertain. Pain, loss, and change will always exist. But through Stoicism, you learn the ultimate truth. You don't need the world to be calm to be calm. When your peace comes from within, nothing can take it away. There comes a point in every person's life when they realize anxiety isn't something to be cured, it's something to be understood. The Stoics didn't aim to eliminate fear or uncertainty. They aimed to understand and master them. Because what you understand you can control, and what you control can no longer control you. This final section isn't just philosophy, it's transformation. It's how you turn Stoic wisdom into a permanent state of inner strength, where anxiety becomes fuel instead of fire. The first truth you must accept is that life will never stop testing you. There will always be moments of doubt, fear, and pressure. But the Stoic doesn't pray for fewer problems. He prays for greater strength. Marcus Aurelius didn't ask life to be kind. He trained himself to face cruelty without bitterness. Epictetus didn't ask for comfort. He learned to find calm even in slavery. Their strength came not from luck, but from choice. Every time you face anxiety, you are being handed a choice, surrender or strengthen. The Stoic always chooses to strengthen, because anxiety is not your enemy, it's your training. The second lesson is stop identifying with your emotions. The anxious person says, I am anxious. The Stoic says, I feel anxiety. That small difference is everything. One statement fuses identity with emotion. The other separates them. You are not your fear. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer behind them. The Stoics practice this detachment daily, reminding themselves that emotions are visitors, not residents. When you stop clinging to every feeling that enters your mind, anxiety loses its authority. You begin to experience emotion without being enslaved by it. That's the Stoic version of peace, not the absence of emotion, but mastery over it. The third Stoic rule to apply in your deepest anxious moments is to find purpose in pain. Every time you suffer, something inside you is being refined. The Stoics believe the universe doesn't give random hardship, it gives necessary growth. When you face anxiety, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you patience, humility, discipline, or faith. Maybe it's exposing the weakness that still needs work. Every pain carries a message. When you stop fighting that message, you start evolving. The Stoic doesn't waste pain. He transforms it into progress. Fourth, accept the small deaths of life with grace. Every day something ends. A dream, a friendship, a version of you. Most anxiety is born from resistance to this ending. But the Stoics practiced memento mori. Remember, you must die, not to live in fear, but to live fully. When you accept that everything is temporary, you stop clinging. You stop trying to hold on to what's already fading, and that's where freedom begins. Anxiety thrives on attachment. Letting go is the cure. What's meant for you will come in peace. What's not will leave in chaos. Either way, let it go with dignity. The fifth truth: you owe it to yourself to stay calm, not for the world, but for your soul. The Stoics didn't preach calmness as a show of superiority. It was self-protection. When you remain calm, you think clearly. You act with reason, not reaction. Calmness is control. The anxious person lets the world dictate their inner weather. The Stoic becomes their own climate. When chaos surrounds you, breathe deeply and remind yourself, if I stay calm, I stay powerful. Anxiety is energy scattered in every direction. Calmness gathers it back into focus. Next, practice perspective in everything. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our view of them." You can look at the same situation and see disaster or opportunity. The choice belongs to you. When anxiety strikes, pause and reframe. Instead of saying, "This is terrible," say, "This is training." Instead of, "I can't handle this," say, "This is my test." That mental shift is Stoic alchemy. It turns fear into strength. You start realizing that anxiety isn't something to run from, but something to outgrow. What once terrified you becomes a task you now welcome, because it builds your discipline. And finally, remember that peace is not found, it's built. Every time you choose discipline over panic, logic over fear, stillness over reaction, you're laying another brick in your inner fortress. The Stoics weren't born calm. They practiced it daily, the same way a warrior trains for battle. The world will keep throwing storms your way, but if your foundation is Stoic, no storm can shake it. Peace is not an accident, it's a decision repeated every day until it becomes who you are. When you live by these brutal Stoic rules, anxiety begins to dissolve. Not because life stops being hard, but because you stop being fragile. You stop expecting guarantees. You stop fighting the inevitable. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control. And suddenly something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself. You realize that no matter what life throws at you, you can remain steady. That's not arrogance. That's peace earned through self-mastery. The Stoic doesn't seek a life without storms. He seeks to become the calm within them. He doesn't escape the fire. He learns to walk through it without burning, because he knows the greatest freedom isn't found in controlling the world, it's found in controlling the self. And when that mastery is achieved, anxiety no longer lives in your mind. It bows to your strength. It fades before your clarity. You become untouchable, not because life is easy, but because you are unshakable. That's what it means to live like a Stoic. That's what it means to end anxiety forever. Peace is not the absence of struggle. It's the presence of strength. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They lived in times of war, betrayal, and loss. Yet they carried unshakable calm within them. They didn't wait for life to be easy. They learned to be unbreakable when life got hard. This final section is about becoming that kind of person, the one who doesn't get crushed by uncertainty, fear, or chaos, but stands firm through it all. The one who no longer begs for peace, but embodies it. The first step to that transformation is to live by principle, not emotion. The Stoics believed that reason, not feeling, should guide every action. Anxiety comes from reacting impulsively, from letting every emotion dictate your next move. The Stoic pauses. He breathes. He asks, what is the right thing to do, not the easiest? When you build your life around principle, honesty, patience, courage, self-control, your emotions lose control over you. You stop swinging between panic and peace because your foundation no longer depends on feelings. It depends on values. And values don't change with moods. The second truth is to accept that you are not special in your suffering. Every human being has faced fear, uncertainty, and heartbreak. The Stoics saw pain as a universal teacher. When you think, why me? You separate yourself from reality. But when you think this is part of being human, you rejoin it. You stop taking your pain personally and start using it purposefully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What happens to every man happens to me. If it's bearable, I can bear it." That mindset destroys anxiety's illusion that you are alone. You realize you're walking the same difficult path that every strong soul before you has walked, done, and survived. The third Stoic principle: discipline is stronger than reassurance. You can read motivational quotes all day, but they won't save you when anxiety hits. Only discipline will. Discipline to face your fears. Discipline to stay calm when the mind screams to panic. Discipline to act when you feel paralyzed. The Stoics didn't chase motivation, they trained action. They understood that peace isn't found in talking about strength. It's found in living it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you weaken anxiety's grip. Because the anxious mind wants ease and the stoic mind seeks mastery. Fourth, train yourself to need less. Anxiety often grows from attachment into people, outcomes, comfort, approval. The more you need, the more you fear losing. The Stoic cuts away the unnecessary until only the essential remains. Seneca said, "If you wish to be rich, do not add to your money, but subtract from your desires." Freedom is not in owning more. It's in craving less. When you stop needing everyone to understand you, love you, or agree with you, anxiety fades. You realize you can handle being misunderstood alone. The fifth truth, remember your mortality daily. It sounds dark, but it's the ultimate cure for anxiety. The Stoics meditated on death not to be gloomy, but to sharpen their focus on life. Every anxious thought is rooted in illusion, that you'll live forever, that every mistake is final, that tomorrow is guaranteed. But when you remember that every breath could be your last, anxiety loses its drama. You stop worrying about trivial things and start living with intention. You speak more kindly, act more boldly, and waste less time. Memento mori, remember you must die, is not a curse. It's a key to living fearlessly. The sixth Stoic rule is to accept what happens and still do what's right. Life will not always go your way. People will betray you, plans will collapse, and you will fail at things you cared about deeply. But the Stoic response is never bitterness. It's action. When something breaks, fix what you can and accept what you can't. When life gives you chaos, meet it with calm. When it gives you loss, meet it with gratitude. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop wasting energy on what's beyond your control. That is the truest form of peace, acting rightly in an unfair world. And the final, most brutal Stoic rule, you become what you practice every day. Anxiety isn't destroyed by one realization, it's dissolved through repetition. Every time you choose stillness over panic, patience over reaction, gratitude over fear, you're reprogramming your mind. You're teaching your nervous system that you're safe even when things feel uncertain. The Stoics practice calm like soldiers practice battle, because peace is not a mood, it's a skill. It must be trained, tested, and lived. You don't have to be born fearless to end anxiety. You just have to live consciously. You just have to remind yourself. Life is happening for you, not to you. Every moment of anxiety is an invitation to rise higher, to prove that you can remain steady no matter how wild the storm becomes. The Stoic way doesn't promise a life without fear, and it promises a life where fear never wins. When you follow these 7 brutal rules, you don't become emotionless. You become free. Free from overthinking, free from chaos, free from needing the world to change before you can be calm. You carry your peace with you, unbothered, unbroken, untouchable. That's the essence of Stoicism. That's how you end anxiety forever, not by running from it, but by mastering yourself so deeply that no thought, no event, and no fear can shake the fortress within you.